next topic. I know Joey Badass. And this is very interesting. I'll read the lean in and then we can kind of discuss, but I'll pose my initial thoughts once we do that. But is TDE or TDE East, I should say, is that a brilliant idea or is it a clout chase?
Then it started making me think about, well, where's our QC? Where's New York City's QC? Why don't we have a quality control record label? Why don't we have a TDE record label? Why don't we have a CMG record label? You get what I'm saying? Who is our guy to go to New York? Is it Fat Joe? Is it Jada? Is it 50? Is it Jay-Z? TDE. Who is the gatekeeper or who is the OG that can start a record label to give you that quality like a TDE, right? If you think about TDE, the reason why Kendrick is as successful as he is because they have built a brand based on quality. The reason why we even paying attention to Reason, even though he removed himself from the label, is because we know he's cut from that TDE cloth that has a certain level of quality. So where is our TDE? Where's our QC? CMG building Glorilla's, Moneybag Yo. They got Yo Gotti doing this sound, doing this thing. Why don't we have a New York person that's doing that?
How do you guys feel about what he said? You have some good points. I know, Terry, you just said you thought he had a good point.
It is a good point because when you talk about the mecca of record labels, imprints, it was a big deal if you got signed to Def Jam at one point in time. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
Big deal if you got signed to Cold Chillin' at one point.
And it was like, it wasn't just East Coast rappers. I mean, it started out that way. But then that paved the way for Rockefeller Records. And I think Rockefeller had a similar tone, in my personal opinion, as a TDE. A lot of the artists, I don't think, floated on their own as well as TDE kind of is. But when you talk about Rockefeller, you had, of course, Jay-Z, you had Beans, you had
Cameron at a certain point.
He kind of took the torch for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you had Freeway.
Yeah.
You had Crease and Neef. Those were like solid contenders that could really rap. You know what I'm saying? And then when you move over to like a Bad Boy, I mean, you have to mention Bad Boy when we're talking about a record label that's putting out quality artists. Their roster was fire. Although a lot of artists only ended up with one album.
Yeah.
That one album was really good, and then they kind of just dissipated. Whereas TDE is more of a machine that focuses on making sure that every artist is in their bag and doing what they're supposed to do. So yeah, there's not a new version of the record labels that I mentioned. So I think that is a missing piece. And this is something that Joey Badass probably should be trying to do on his own. I mean, I know he's kind of using this as ammo for the rap battles and things of that nature. But him being able to formulate something on the East Coast, this is really his time to shine if he's able to actually tap into the artists there that are making noise or even has time to do it. Because I don't even know of anybody else on the East Coast. I mean, talk about Dreamville, but that's East Coast adjacent. That's more down south.
Yeah, that wouldn't
it's
count.
close to New York, but it's not considered an East Coast situation.
Right. What you think, Lon?
I feel like it's got to be. I feel like it's got to be somebody that doesn't make music.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Got to be somebody like Top Dog, or I mean, I know Punch rapped and stuff, but it's got to be somebody whose focus is on primarily facilitating, creating the thing, and doesn't want to be all up, quote unquote, in the
all
video,
up in the videos.
You know, like
singing,
dancing.
Yeah. I think that is what's going to help the creative aspect of it grow. You know what I mean? Now, the interesting thing about a TDE version with Joey and all these artists is like it's not like a one of one because Joey's established.
Yeah.
A lot of these people that we're talking about are already established to some degree. TDE established the artists.
Yes.
Every single person that's come out of there is established because of that entity.
Yeah.
So it's maybe a TDE East. I don't really hate the idea, to be honest.
It's clever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really hate it. It's kind of like Bad Boy South or whatever, you know, and all, you know, Def Jam South or
when
whatever.
Death Row was going to go Death Row East.
Yeah,
but that was affiliated with Death Row. You know, that was supposed to be what, depending on who you ask, what Suge gave to Tupac when he was trying to leave Death Row. If you're going to do TDE East, then you should. If you were going to put the out there, you need to holler at Top Dog before you even put the idea out there.
Yeah,
That seems weird.
But
I think
even
that's what he's kind of. I think it's more of a joke. You know what I'm saying? Because it is going with this battle that's going on with him pretty much going up against everybody on TDE. Well, not everybody, but a few people on TDE other than the person that he wants to go up against. And I think that's why he keeps trying to poke at TDE, because he's wanting that response from Kendrick. But I mean, it's clever, and he's definitely showing out when it comes to what he's doing with this situation.
Still poking the bear with all of this. All this goes into the recent battles that have been released since we last talked. So all of this seems to be, to Terry's point, still poking the bear, trying to get the bear to follow the tree, which is obviously Kendrick. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think a TDE East is necessary.
See, that was going to be my next question, Lone, is would New York even benefit from this based off how everything is, the current landscape?
Look, just the way that the way that I like to do things, and this is maybe just a personal thing. I respect things that are like kind of built from like the ground up. And just like we're talking about the NBA teams and football teams and stuff like that, I have a lot more respect for teams that build and grow within an organization outside of actually like just going out and like finding the talent and bringing them on the roster. I don't think that this is something that you just grab the hot people right now and you stick them on a label. And do that. And number one, labels aren't really that relevant for people that are already on. It would be cool to see some actual artist development from a team, from that aspect, because then I think it's actually contributing to the quality of the art.
Yeah.
Long term.
Yeah.
That's the only way. Like, you can't just come in here and grab a couple superstars and then you got no bench. You know what I mean? Like,
that's why TDE stands out too, because every one of their artists is their own unique artist on their own. They don't sound like each other. Nobody on TDE sounds like the next person. Well, even when it comes down to the Doechii, and then you have SZA, and then you have Sir.
I think Rayvon, Reason. There was another dude that was on there for a while. I think they all have a similar type of sound.
Cali.
But it's like a specific TDE.
So when
Cali
we talk about the starters, so if we're talking about starters, let's say that Kendrick is still on TDE.
Yeah, Schoolboy,
you talk about
Absol's different. Yeah,
Absol,
for sure. Isaiah Rashad was kind of in that. All the B Squad dudes who were all dope. They all kind of had that, like, a little bit of Kendrick, a little bit of TDE, whatever that is. They rapped over the same similar type of beats. Yeah. They did the same kind of stuff with their voices a little bit,
J-Rock sounds.
Yeah.
He's different. I mean, it's a Cali sound.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
But it's a specific curated Cali sound.
Yeah, and then Schoolboy, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, I kind of feel like they have the most unique record label as a whole, in my personal opinion. Like, if we're just talking about the starting rosters.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Dreamville's record label they're unique too, but it's not, I don't think it's the same way as TDE is. Yeah.
Like, it's like there's not even a comparison between the two. And that's not even really a shot at Dreamville.
Not at all.
It's just like TDE is the standard, period.
It's kind of the point you were making as far as an artist running it versus somebody that's actually into running the business. Yeah. And I think that's where they defer. Yeah. Because we've seen the situation with
Ari Lennox,
who doesn't have any ill will towards Dreamville. I mean, she was actually on this last Dreamville festival. Yeah. And then soon after that, she kind of announced her departure and that everybody was cool. But that's probably a key factor in why it's not working out the way that she wants it to work out, because an artist is running.
It's like, it makes sense for, like Ninth Wonder is a good example of, now granted, I feel like he kind of does too much. He can do whatever he wants to do, but I'm saying, like, as far as teaching and still producing and still doing all this stuff, like, Ninth would be a good example if he wasn't producing as much, because he's curated Rhapsody's career. He's helped, the Soul Council, influenced a lot of the Soul Council producers, like Soundtrack and stuff like that. But also, like, there are a couple, like Ruben Vincent. Yeah. There's a couple other artists that, GQ for a minute. Like, there were a couple artists that I felt like, I forget, what's the name of the label? Jamla, yeah. I feel like Jamla was kind of building that, and I feel like Ninth, but even Ninth, it just didn't have quite the momentum because I feel like you almost need a dedicated person that's just focused on that. Now, maybe I'm wrong. I could be absolutely wrong on this. I do think there's something to be said, though, about somebody who is that is their focus. It's not making music. It's just like, nah, y'all are dope. How do I get y'all and put all my time and energy into that? And, you know, like there's something to be said about people that are creatives that every once in a while they're like, you know what? I want to get back in my creative bag a little bit.
Yeah.
And that would be hard. And that would be, for a person like Ninth Wonder, it would be hard to turn that off.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like just to become the executive. Yeah. That would be, for him, that would be very hard to turn that off.
And we see Punch, who is another big dog over at TDE.
Yeah, for sure.
He raps, but he put his own career to the side.
True. He intentionally did that.
Right, intentionally. And then you have Top's son. He doesn't rap at all. He's only in the business to run the business.
Yeah.
That's his focus, is actually continuing to build the momentum and keep TDE as an entertainment company that produces these high quality acts.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's their focus. That's what they want to do. And they literally changed the course of what Doechii was doing. Doechii came out, and we've talked about this on the show. He came out in a whole different lane, and they was like, nah, we need to pivot. You need to pretty much just be you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Work for it too.
It absolutely worked.
But I think that's important for almost everything. Like any type of conglomerate in general. You know, like I think you're always going to run into problems when the creative aspect overlaps with the production aspect in general, you know. So
it is something that's needed. And we've actually had that discussion too, as far as how TDE runs their camp, actually ARs, and make sure that the artist is, you know what I'm saying, doing what they're supposed to do versus just putting out a whole bunch of stuff from a whole bunch of.
Yeah. Do you guys think the artists that are in New York, the established artists, how do I want to say this, by not setting up or having a equivalent to this that's been established on the East, is that just due to people not, you think they just don't want to do it? Or is it people being honest and saying the climate just doesn't call for it?
I think there are people that want to do it. You know, there's such a blueprint there for all these New York labels. You know, whether it be whatever you thought about them, the Rockefellers, the Bad Boys, the Murder Incs. There's a lineage of acts and record companies, you know, that had a, you know, for lack of a better term, quality control.
That's fair.
They knew how to keep their artists at the top of the charts and, you know, at the forefront of whatever was going on in the culture at the time. And so I just think right now I don't want to say, because everyone wants to blame, you know, why don't the OGs do this? Why don't they do that? I think it also comes from the fact that Nicki Minaj was signed by somebody from the South.
Yeah.
You know, 50 Cent was signed by somebody from the West.
She actually was signed by two people from the South before anybody got her on, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, she had other situations. I know, you know.
She was with Waka Flocka and them. And
Waka
Flocka,
at first. You know, and her first group, you know, had some affiliation with of all people, Full Force. But that's way back in that's before, you know, she was Nicki Minaj.
Yeah.
But when you think about that era, you know, the fact that two of the biggest artists to come out of New York in the past, I don't know, now we're talking about 25 to 20 years, were signed by people outside of New York. They let those gems get out of the city. And so now, I don't know if that affected the city in a way that we don't understand. I mean, they've tried to have their movements, but there's always been some foolishness. You know, remember when we thought Troy Ave was going to be him? Maybe not y'all.
No.
Maybe not us. But
Troy had a little run.
At one point, it was like, okay, Troy Ave had a little thing going, but then, you know, that shooting and all the other stuff with what's his name? I can't remember. But Taxstone, yeah, you know.
They were giving the keys to the wrong people for a minute.
That too.
It was, you had Tekashi.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
You had Ice Spice as of late.
Yeah. Gotta be careful with them keys.
At one point in time, A Boogie was actually probably leading the race.
Mm-hmm.
And that just fizzled all the way out. It's just, there hasn't been, it's weird because like New York kind of lost their sound for a while. And I think that's what's making Joey stand out a whole lot more, is because he's actually flexing that New York style like it's supposed to be done. and it's making people excited about the situation. But you have to find people equally as good as him that not even necessarily just rap in order to create a situation that's going to make sense and be a powerhouse.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Joey on that, man. He's definitely awakening some energy in the situation, and hopefully the city that's needed, because again, nobody from New York City has really been putting on. You got Buffalo, they've been putting on, but nobody from New York City has been holding down hip hop the way that somebody that started it is supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I didn't think. Yeah, it's not been the 5 boroughs. At one point, everyone was looking to Buffalo, which is crazy. Just because, has anybody other than Rick James come out of Buffalo before? Somebody.
Maybe I'm missing some.
Yeah, somebody gonna get me to line. Say I'm
lying.
Somebody
gonna line you up in the.
Yeah, I mean, the OGs, they've still been dropping stuff, but when we talk about a new fleet of people, when you think of the West Coast, when you think of down south, even the Midwest, you know what I'm saying? It seems like there's constantly somebody coming through the ranks and trying to make noise with the people that are actually doing something versus having a sound that's not unique to your soil, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? So,
no, I feel you on that 100%. It's been a long time.
It has.
For someone to be deemed, elite, if you will, or upper echelon. So it's we always relying on the OGs at this point. Plus, everything is still in the South. So, hey, it's still down there.
And then
out west. I say out west too.
Yeah, and then regardless of how well Joey is or how good he's doing right now, a lot of his energy and his popularity is from power. There's a lot of people that didn't know or aren't familiar with him being a rapper. They didn't hear 1990. They're not familiar with how well Joey rapped because he kind of, dipped away for a minute. So this new energy I think that he has and hunger for actually wanting to rap and let people know, hey, I came out in the same era as these other cats, and I kind of took a back seat to it for whatever reason. But now he's trying to pretty much cement his name again and flex that New York shit-ish, so I'm with it.
All right. I mean, hey, he's good enough to do it. That's for damn sure.
Yep.
So shout out to Joey, man. Either you trolling or might be on to something.
Look, man, as long as like the culture is getting excited about people actually rapping, that's what as opposed to just image and gimmicks and lawsuits.
Yeah,
that too.